third angel poured out his bowl into the rivers and the springs of waters, and they became blood. And I heard the angel of the waters saying, Righteous are you who are and who were, O Holy One, because you judged these things. For they poured out the blood of the saints and the prophets, and you have given them blood to drink. They deserve it. And I heard the altar saying, Yes, O Lord God the Almighty, true and righteous are your judgments. Now think about this for a second. What the angels were saying in there was that our actions, not necessarily us individually or us in this group, but man's actions are what are causing this. We took and we drained the blood out of good people by our own actions. So God returned that blood to us. You took it, here, have it. Have it all. And, that caused all the drinking water to be changed to blood. Without drinking water, without potable water, man does not survive for very long. Right? Our bodies are 98, 95% water, something like that. So we need it. And if we can't get it to replace it, we're in trouble. The fourth angel poured out his bowl upon the sun, and there was given to it to scorch men with fire. Men were scorched with fierce heat, and they blasphemed the name of God, who has the power over these plagues, and they did not repent so as to give him glory. And we experienced some pretty warm summers here in Illinois. But imagine that now, after the water's been turned to blood. We have no water to cool ourselves with, no water to clean ourselves with. So here we are, we're dehydrating. We've got boils and sores that are painful beyond belief, and now God turns up the heat. Yes. And we have to remember, it was verse 9. They blasphemed the name of God. They blamed God for this. They don't see that it was their free will actions. Man has the opportunity to change all of this. We can't come to God. I would love to see every living creature on earth turn to God. Every man, woman, and child, fall down on a knee and humbly repent and ask for Christ to lead them and guide them. In my own personal beliefs, this is what God says is going to happen. But I can envision that not having to happen. That we as a church, as the church, can go out and we can bring everybody to God. I can envision that. I can hope for that, just like God does. The fifth angel poured out his bowl on the throne of the beast, and his kingdom became darkened, and they gnawed their tongues because of pain. And they blasphemed the God of heaven because of their plans and their swords. They did not repent of their deeds. People have been pulled in by this Antichrist. And now, the first 3.5 years were all sunshine and happiness. Now we're into this last 3.5 years. Whoa. Woe is me. But who do they blame? Do they blame their leader, their man leader? No. They blame God. They don't blame the person who took them away from God. They blame God himself. They don't look inside. Jesus said to the Pharisees and Sadducees, you have to clean what's inside the cup. It doesn't matter how clean the outside of the cup is. If the inside isn't clean, you're not going to be clean. you risk getting sick. Guess what, guys? You didn't clean your insides. But at the same time, these same people, I mean, yeah, they blame God, but I'm willing to bet that they're going to be doubtful of His powers and policies and what He can do and what He's done. And it's going to bring about a whole lot of confusion. People are going to be running scared. And not that I want to wish this on anybody, but anybody who's left, who realized their mistake, needs to be there ready to stand in strong faith with God, to bring these people in, to give them the truth, to help them along, to help them stand against the Antichrist. Can they ever remove that beast, that number from them? No. And it's unfortunate. But as Jesus said to the thief on the cross, trust me, today you will be with me in paradise. A deathbed confession can get you there. Yeah. But they have to know what it's about. The sixth angel poured out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and its water was dried up, so that the way would be prepared for the kings of the east. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet, 3 unclean spirits like frogs. For they are spirits of demons, performing signs which go out to the kings of the whole world to gather them together for the war of the great day of God, God the Almighty. Behold, I am coming like a thief. Blessed is the one who stays awake and keeps his clothes, so that he will not walk about naked, and men will not see his shame. And they gathered them together to one place, to the place which in Hebrew is called Armageddon. Now, in these last 4 verses, we find 2 paths of preparation. The first is for the kings of the earth to join forces together with Satan and the Antichrist. To rise up an army bigger than any army that's ever been put together before to try and defeat God. And I have to laugh at that, because Satan's going, all right, I'm going to take all these men, these mortal men, and I'm going to beat the eternal God. Strikes me as rather questionable reasoning, but most of what Satan does is like that. The second preparation is a warning. A warning from Christ Himself. That if you wish to avoid experiencing God's wrath, or the rest of God's wrath, and certain final death, you better be prepared. You better have a full oil lamp. You better be dressed, ready to go. It reminds me of two other stories in the Bible. First is the first Passover. God told Moses to make sure that everybody is dressed. Do not wait for the bread to rise. Bake it before it rises so that you can eat it. Be ready to go. Because when it happens, there's no waiting. We're not waiting on anybody. When Pharaoh gives the word to get out, you're moving. Right. Anybody who doesn't is going to get left behind. And the second one is the story of the 10 virgins. 5 of them only had half jugs of oil, thinking, we'll be okay. And when nightfall came, they didn't have enough oil to keep themselves warm. They couldn't convince the others to give any up. They had to go home. And when the prince opened the door, they weren't there. And I envision them as the 5 of them running back, and they could see the door closing. You see a dark room and the door closing, and you see that little sliver of light just coming together. Or Star Trek or Star Wars, where they're flying that great big ship trying to get it through that little tiny opening. Well, they didn't make the little tiny opening. and they couldn't get in. They were left out in the cold. We have to be ready. We have to be prepared. In season and out of season, Paul said.
Amen.
And then the seventh angel poured out his bowl upon the air, and a loud voice came out of the temple from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were flashes of lightning and sounds and peals of thunder, and there was a great earthquake, such as there had not been since man came to be upon the earth. So great an earthquake was it, and so mighty, the great city was split into 3 parts. And the cities of the nations fell. Babylon the great was remembered before God to give her the cup of the wine of his fierce wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found. And huge hailstones, 100 pounds each, came down from heaven upon men. And men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, because its plague was extremely severe. Again, we see that the biggest problem these people had throughout all of this was their failure to repent and seek God's forgiveness. They blamed him. They cursed him. They blasphemed against him. They did not look to him and say, "God, stop. We surrender." You know, all I had to do was say, "God, I surrender." 2 words, "I surrender." But they didn't. They continued to blow their mouths and blaspheme him and curse him and everything else. And today, already, we fail to understand the consequences of free will. Everybody talks about the freedom to do this, the freedom to do that. I've got the right to do this. Well, yeah, so you may have the right to do it, but is it right? You know, I have the right to go out and just start firing a gun if I want. But if my right infringes on the rights of others, that doesn't make it good or right. You know, when my rights start infringing and impinging other people's rights that have been given to us by God, I've overstepped.
Yes.
Good choices yield good results.
Yes.
If I do what I have the right to do within the limits of God's law, I'm being specific here to God's law, God's rules, God's will. And I don't mean his law like Old Testament law. I mean law like the 10 Commandments. Love him, love your neighbor, love your wife, no murder, no stealing, that kind of stuff. When you live that out, you get good things happening to you. People recognize you as a good person. But if you make bad choices, you get bad results. You know, that's the way it works.